So the very good question, excellent question. So modern application, wherever the dynamic behavior, we learned that there is two type of application website. One is static, just the info. My name is Shubhla Ahmad, I'm the this and the, this is my LinkedIn ID, all this. One type of application. Another is dynamic application, means user sign up, user sign in, user the withdraw the money. So an example for the TS for you upload documents, you actually answer the technical question, and then you actually set up the calendar, and then you actually the chat with somebody else. This is the dynamic application. In the dynamic application is run by the API, all the backend logic. So if you are a test engineer on this page, after today's session, if I tell you to focus on the testing without knowledge, you will say that I need to ensure the backend is working as expected, because your backend is actually doing all the logic, all the mechanism. That's the reason in the modern application, when the test engineer analyze and they estimate their testing effort, they focus if the application is driven by the API, they focus 70 to 80% on the API testing, API automation. 20% they focus on the GUI automation. Because you see, if I can log in from the backend, right? Username, password, of course my backend is working fine, right? If you do forever, if you have 100,000 of the interface, web interface, if the backend is broken, do you think you can log in? You cannot, right? So because backend is making the decision, that's the reason we actually focus in the modern, the software development, testing focus goes 70 to 80%, the API automation, API testing, backend need to be protected, backend need to ensure that backend is working just fine. Thank you.
I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Ahmed.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Just to make sure that if my front end, the login is failing, if it only fails because my API is not done correctly, right?
Yes, yes. It can be multiple reasons. He is asking. So now let's come to the separation of power. So if you have a 3 computer, one computer is your front end code, another computer is your web server, and another computer is your backend code, means API, right? From your browser, if you type ts4u.us, it is actually going to the front end computer where the code is. So if this computer is down, means this server, we call the server. If this server is down, then there is no chance that it is going to the web server. Web server is another computer. So now your front end is fine, but your web server computer is broken. So now, of course, front end and web server is fine. Front end is fine, web server is broken. Of course, your request is not going to the back end, correct? So now but you don't know anything. From the user point of view, you know nothing. All you just raise the concern. As a QA, hey, my front end is not working, it is just stand idle, right? But from the administrative team, I mean the development team, we know, actually DevOps, CloudOps engineer, they figured out what the issues is. So third is, while your front end is working fine, your web server is working fine, means 2 computers working fine, but web server is unable to reach out to the backend server. So now the backend server is, third computer is down. So now still the user is not able to reach out and get the service. Now the fourth scenario is, I have the database that also in that separate computer, right? So now the scenario is, user computer is fine, front end computer is fine, web server computer is fine, front end can reach out to the web server, and web server to the backend computer is fine, that server is also fine. So web server is reaching out to the backend server, that's fine. But backend server is not able to reach out to the database computer, database server. Now database is down. So do you think still the backend can do all the work? Backend cannot. Backend cannot do this because backend is broken with the database. Because you are trying to log into the TS4U, right? If I shut down my backend from the cloud, you try to log in, it will not be able to log in. From the status code? Exactly. So If the server is down, you will receive a HTTP series, which is 500. Remember, 400 series is my data is incorrect. Maybe I do not have the access permission. 200 means everything is good to go. Well, you guys did not ask about the 300. 300 is actually redirection. Redirection means from TS for you, when you type the username, it is taking you where? Portal.ts4u.us. That's called the 300 redirection. You see, every HTTP code has a meaning behind the scene. Did I answer your question?
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed.
I
My
think very
last
good question.
my last question is very short. Well, while you were talking about the Swagger, I know it's a tool for API, right?
Yes, yes.
So it
To
does it
expose the
follow
backend
a
API.
yes? Does it follow a traceability matrix like
No.
when you
No.
mentioned the no?
No, that's all done by the backend. That's done by the cloud ops. They manage a specific tool to logging, to monitoring. Yes, it does not do anything.
Okay, there is no traceability metrics like the
Not
user
this tool.
epic.
Not this tool. There
Oh.
is a tool, but not Swagger. There is a tool, not Swagger.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you so much.
Definitely.